I wanted to make this follow-up video about a lot of the negative comments that I got about Selena Vertolomo. So I want to make this video to be transparent as far as what I was saying and why I was saying it, along with people's genuine concern about her. So basically, I'm not saying that I can say for a fact that she's telling the truth about everything, but you see, the way that I approach situations is I have to look at the best evidence that I have. So for example, when she tracked Toni Morris in North Carolina, some could say, okay, was it a staged video? Like, how do we even know he's there? So then another person can find documents, public record, that indeed he moved to North Carolina and Watchtower brought him a house. So again, that's what I look at. It doesn't really matter when people try to destroy somebody's character to cover over some big truth that they're speaking. So, and again, that doesn't mean that everything she's saying is a fact, but what it means is that what she's saying checks out, right? So, and as far as her accusation about why he was removed, well, think about it like this. There is public record showing that Watchtower paid for property in North Carolina for Toni Morris, so we know that much. When people naturally step down from positions in the organization, Watchtower doesn't buy them a house, they're on their own, right? They don't buy them a house. Think about all the time that Bethel had actually kicked people out. And they kicked them out, no health insurance, no pension, no nothing, right? So if Toni Morris stepped down, they're not going to buy the man a house. And if he did something wrong, they're not going to buy the man a house. When's the last time that somebody got deleted because they did something wrong and Watchtower buys them a house, right? So it's very suspicious that he would move and go all the way to North Carolina and that they would buy him a house. You see, that matches what Selena was saying. Because you see, if there was something to have to do with some legal thing with child abuse, they would have to remove him to cover their ass, basically. You see what I'm saying? So what Selena said would make sense why they would actually have to remove him from the governing body. But the fact they bought him a house shows that it's sort of like he's still one of their buddies, right? He's still one of them, right? And recently someone had made a comment on my page and they said something like, well, maybe it's because he stepped down to take care of a sick wife or something like that. I want to just explain this. He's not going to step down for a sick wife, because when you're a governing body member, it's not like a local elder decided to step down. They're claiming that they are the faithful and discreet slave appointed directly by Jehovah God, that Jehovah put them in that position. So it doesn't matter if he has a sick family member. If the wife lives at Bethel with him, then they got the whole Bethel staff that will take care of his wife, right? Think about how many like brown-nosing type of brothers would take care of his wife just to say, oh, look, I'm taking care of a governing body member's wife. You know what I'm saying? So they would never be in a situation where he had to leave to take care of his wife. But all those other random explanations and the EXJWs come up with on why they removed him, none of them have any evidence. They have nothing to back it up. Where what Selena's saying, there's evidence. There's evidence that he wasn't deleted. There's evidence that he wasn't removed or that he stepped down. Evidence shows that Watchtower is still very much involved with him, because they're not going to buy the man a house, right? So you see, all that matches up. Why they would have to legally take him off the governing body, but he's still a part of the governing body, I would think. And another thing I want to explain too, and again, I'm just speculating, right? This is not the type of video that I'm making real serious, which is like, why I'm just out here recording it like this. Usually I don't do videos like this, so I'm basically just giving you my opinion on this. So when it comes to controlled opposition, because some people think, okay, Selena's controlled opposition. Well, here's the thing about the controlled opposition thing, is that if you understand the way controlled opposition works, somebody that's controlled opposition, and I'm just going to go with the profile. The typical profile of controlled opposition is that it is not really the profile that they would have her start off on TikTok, right? Controlled opposition means that they have a lot of power behind. Watchtower's investing a lot of money to set everything up for them. So control opposition channels are going to have a ridiculous amount of subscribers, and their channel is going to grow extremely fast. And if you read the comment section, there's going to be probably like no scrutiny either. Like there's certain characteristics that you will get when a channel is control opposition. So understanding the profile of control opposition, it's not the typical profile that they would, especially from Watchtower's standpoint, have her not on a YouTube channel with a whole bunch of subscribers and that she would be on TikTok, right? That just doesn't necessarily fit the profile. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be true. Watchtower could be doing something different, but that does not match the profile to have her on TikTok. And secondly, if she was controlled opposition, you would have a lot of power behind her. So she would probably still be very active. She'd probably be on YouTube, but she'd probably have at least 10,000 subscribers by now, or more than that. And she could maintain that because when someone's control opposition, they have the force of Watchtower working with them. So it's not likely that she would appear on TikTok for only about like a year, and then she like vanished off the face of the earth. That's not really likely either when you think about how control opposition runs, right? The channels that are control opposition, they're strong running channels that are going to run for several years until Watchtower just decides, okay, we don't need you anymore. So some were saying that she's got questionable social media posts, and she's throwing up the devil horn sign and post about witchcraft and all this stuff. Well, a couple of things about that. One, just for the record, that when people leave this religion, they can go into anything. Witchcraft, it doesn't mean that what she's saying about Toni Morris isn't true. It doesn't mean that she's control opposition, even if she is a witch, right? If she's practicing witchcraft, that doesn't mean anything. And this might be a hard concept for some to understand, but there is good witches and bad witches. That's a real concept, like in The Wizard of Oz. So I'm just saying that even if she, and again, I haven't seen the post, so I can't really say that it's not true that she's saying control opposition because I haven't examined the post myself. I would have to see these questionable social media posts to really give my opinion and be able to say, okay, I could see this or see that. But just hearing about it, because from what I understand, the posts are deleted, that when a person, especially been sexually abused by their own father, they're going to go through their period of searching everything. They may jump into witchcraft, right? They may even go to the Church of Satan, right? That actually has nothing to do with whether or not that they're control opposition, because if they may be going into those areas. And some people will like worship Satan because they're mad at God, right? There's people who will go into those dark areas because they're so disappointed in God, so they try out the dark side. So I just want to say, first of all, even if she was posting that stuff, that doesn't necessarily mean anything about her being control opposition. So another reason that doesn't really fit the profile of a control opposition is that I don't know what other questionable posts she was saying and doing that made people not trust her. But from what I understand, that, okay, so let me say it like this. I understand it like this. So if whatever these posts are that are basically exposing, or people think expose the fact that she's a fraud or this or that, why would those posts still be on any social media page, right? Why wouldn't her social media be completely deleted before she takes this job as control opposition? So what I'm saying is that Watchtower, are they that sloppy that they would have someone who's controlled opposition and then they didn't keep in mind the fact of, oh, she's exposing the fact that she's control opposition with all these questionable posts, right? Do you know what I'm saying? If Watchtower has someone who's control opposition, they're not that dumb to forget, oh, she has all these posts on that are going to expose her. You see, that doesn't really fit the profile either of control opposition. So yeah, I just don't see that. I don't see Watchtower being that dumb. And just to clarify that, well, when we watched that last Governing by the Update about the toasting, like, you would think that these people are morons the way they talk, but make no mistake about it. They talk like morons and act like morons because the JWs are so brainwashed that they'll believe it. But these people are absolute mad scientists. They're geniuses. Now, personally, I don't think the governing body is really running Watchtower. I kind of think they're just puppets, to be honest. Right? I don't think that they're running it. But whoever you think is running the organization, whether you believe it's the governing body or somebody above them, make no mistake about it. They are mad scientists. They're geniuses. So I don't see them being that sloppy that if Selena was controlled opposition, that she would have all this questionable stuff on her social media for everybody to see it, and then all attack her, and she disappeared in a year. It doesn't fit the profile of controlled opposition. Now, to be transparent, let me just say that I want to make this very clear. So I do research everything, so I take seriously when people are questioning her. So she could be controlled opposition if Watchtower is just doing something completely new. Her presence, it just doesn't match that profile. So I have to just go by that, for example, and the fact of what she said checked out. And again, so that is why personally at this point, I believe her claims about Toni Morris. Now, I'll change my views if somebody has some evidence that suggests otherwise. I will always look at the evidence, but no one, even the people that made comments about it's all weak evidence, right? So, but I'll listen to it. Now, the other thing I want to explain too, as far as her social media posts, and I want everybody to think about this. Whatever was on her post that made people like think she's controlled opposition, they don't trust her. Was this before or after she disappeared? Now, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I'm asking that question because I don't know. The reason I ask that is because when people have been targeted with that type of, like I said, sophisticated attack, it's very easy when you're dealing with like the deep state or CIA or whoever you think is behind this kind of stuff. They can manipulate any social media profile, especially if the person has disappeared and can't defend themselves. So that's one thing I want to ask is whatever that was so questionable, why everybody turned against her, has she been publicly seen after that? Or is it the fact of there's all these questionable posts and she's practically disappeared? Because you see, once a person disappears, it's very easy to manipulate things in her social media. And just for the record, don't think that like these agencies cannot backtrack a post, right? So what I'm saying is that they could go back and make a post for 2021, right? You know what I'm saying? Like these type of organizations have backdoors to everything. So it's very easy to set somebody up and post all types of stuff, even pictures, right? They could be AI, deep fake, manipulated. I'm just saying that the person has to be around to defend themselves. Now, I'm not saying that you should question every video and every post that you see. But it's important to understand that if a person has been targeted with a specific type of attack, at that point, you cannot trust any digital communications or website posts, especially if she's not around anymore to defend that stuff. Now, let me just tell you a quick thing that happened to me. So it's kind of hard to backtrack it. So, like, basically, someone it was a manifestation coach. I don't want to get too much into that for those who don't know what I'm talking about. But basically, this manifestation coach was sending stuff like law of attraction, stuff like that I was looking into. And they had a Telegram group. So they said, hey, join this Telegram group and you could be connected to this group. And they're going to, like, you know, post things about manifestation, law of attraction, that type of thing, right? So I don't use Telegram. I've never used it in my life. And I decided, okay, let me make a Telegram account just for basically this one thing, right? So I can connect to this manifestation class. So surprisingly, when I went to make a Telegram, as soon as I put my number in, this is going back in 2023, so I can't remember exactly how it happened, but when I put my number in, it was already set up. There was already, somebody basically already was running a Telegram account with my name and phone number. And even like when I signed on, it had said something like, do you want to log off of all other devices or something? I'm like, what other devices? Like, I'm thinking I have to register, right? Like, I'm assuming, I mean, again, I don't know what it looks like from scratch, but every other site like that, like when I use WhatsApp and other things like that, you usually got to register your phone number. So it was odd that as soon as I like downloaded the Telegram app and put my number in, there's already an account, and it asked me if I want to log out of all their devices. So when someone has been targeted, it's a very sophisticated attack to try to isolate the person from everybody. So the best way to isolate somebody from everybody is you have to lie and slander and try to destroy every avenue of communication for people not to trust them. And this will always be digital, right? That's one of the weak points too of the system, is it can only be done with stuff that's digital. Long story short, someone went out of their way to make a Telegram account with my phone number. And for them to use my phone number, well, how do they register my phone number? Like, don't they usually have to call my phone? Well, again, that's when you're dealing with someone who's hacked your phone. And that they can use your IEME number, I think is what it's called. So there's all types of ways where, your phone can be remote controlled by somebody else. So it's not just an average person that can get my phone number and open up a Telegram account. So anyway, once I pondered the fact of, okay, somebody completely made an entire account, I signed out of it, and I had nothing to do with it. And another thing weird too is that I didn't even see a way to delete it. I don't even think like I'm trying to go back. I don't even think I could have deleted it. So anyway, I had just signed out of the app and deleted the app, and I never used it again. So, and another thing happened to me too was I usually use prepaid phones just because I think the contract is kind of stupid when you're making payments on the phone. So I like to just buy the phone up front and pay for it month to month. I prefer that. So anyway, when I moved to Idaho, I needed better service, so I went to Verizon. And I haven't been to Verizon in, I don't know, maybe 10 years or longer. So anyway, when I opened up a Verizon account, in my name and social security number, somebody had tried to purchase an Apple Watch for like $1,500. And what it showed that it was ordered, and it showed canceled. So it seems like somebody had ordered it, but then it was canceled. It was never actually ordered. And it was like a $1,500 Apple Watch. Now, personally, this is just my opinion, I would never pay $1,500 for an Apple Watch. I don't even want an Apple Watch. But anyway, like, I would never pay that for it. You could buy a computer with that. I could buy a new desktop computer with the cost of that. So I called the fraud department. Well, I'm sorry, not the fraud department. I called Verizon customer service, and they said, I was trying to figure out, like, hey, this is fraud. Somebody tried to do this. And what they said is, well, the fact that it's canceled, that it looks like perhaps the fraud department, like, it got canceled because something got flagged, and that's why it got canceled or something. So they said, if you want, you can report it, like, to the fraud department. And I didn't even bother. Now, the reason that's significant is because one time I was sitting at my house, and I was sitting on my house on my iPhone, and at one point, like, there was a screen message that said something like, something Apple Watch, like, disconnect it from Apple Watch or something like that. I forget the different screens that may come up for those that use that. And this was way before I seen that someone actually tried to purchase an Apple Watch in my name. So that concerned me, because I'm like, who's hooking up to my phone to an Apple Watch, right? Like, and that's why I don't like the way they have all these things connected. Like, you can remote control things, and you can open up a project on your phone and finish it on another device somewhere else. When this stuff came out, I knew right away it was a problem for hacking. I knew that right away. That is not a good idea. So anyway, someone was connecting to my phone with an Apple Watch, and who knows what the hell they were doing with it. So then, going back to when I moved to Idaho, that's when that reference came up. Like, oh, an Apple Watch. Like, there was a reference because somebody had hacked into my phone with an Apple Watch. So what I'm guessing is that maybe they were going to do it in my name, maybe to further try to set me up because they figured I was never going to use Verizon, or maybe it was like a mistake. Maybe they did it in my name, but then realized, oh no, don't do it. You got to, you don't want him to ever figure out in case you. So I don't know. So I think that's what happened. They attempted to purchase the thing in my name, and for whatever reason, it was canceled. but there was someone that hacked into my phone with an Apple Watch. So, and I just want to make this clear that like the reason I'm mentioning this is because it's just important to understand. Now, I'm not saying that Selena didn't make any of those questionable posts. I'm just saying that you have to understand that if she's disappeared, if she's off the face of the earth, you can't trust digital communications in a situation like that. And don't just take my word for it. Look up, look up the things I talked about in the last video and that John's talked about. So I'm passionate about this stuff just because I understand that when a person has specifically been targeted, there is such a sophisticated like attack to try to isolate the person. And the only way you can isolate an innocent person is you have to slander them and set them up in every way possible. And also digital communications is the easiest way to do that, right? Because if somebody's hacking into your phone, they can do God knows who what under your IEME number. But I'm gonna post a link in the description, and I'm gonna put this on the screen when I upload this video. This video that I'm going to show right here, it talks about a device called a Stingray device. And I just want people to know that a lot of people who have been targeted, that's basically how they're doing it. And I'm not going to explain it too much. I'll let this other guy explain it because he's a world expert in electronics and things like that. He's not a conspiracy guy, so you can't try to discredit him and say, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. So let him explain it to you. But anyway, it's important that you understand that once a person has publicly said they've been targeted in any way, never turn your back on them, no matter what, unless you give them an opportunity to defend themselves. You always need to give the person an opportunity to defend themselves. It doesn't matter what. And especially with like AI technology and deep fake and all this crap, right? People are saying like Stephen Lett, they don't even think he's real in that last governing body update. He's probably computer generated. So you have to understand that. Always give the person an opportunity to defend themselves, period. Especially if they've gone on record talking about being stalked, harassed, or any of that stuff. But anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to be transparent about the Selena thing. I get it. I understand, like why people maybe don't trust her. And I'll admit, I've gone through my fair share. Like there's several channels that I think are controlled opposition. And then sometimes I change my mind and say, you know what, maybe they're not controlled opposition, just because they're doing this or doing that. Like, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Like, all of us at the end of the day, we can only speculate on who we think is controlled opposition. But I've gone back and forth. There's people who I've thought were controlled opposition, and now it's like, okay, maybe they're not. Maybe they're okay. So we all have our different opinion on who we think is controlled opposition. But just remember that when a person has been targeted, you must give them an opportunity to defend themselves. And if she's not here to comment on these things, then you have to give her the benefit of the doubt. So again, the way that I look at it is all the different theories about Toni Morris, Selena's version blows all those other versions out of the water. Everything she said checked out. It makes sense. It makes sense why he would have to be removed. It makes sense why they have to move him out of New York State. It makes sense why the Watchtower would buy the man a house if they had to remove him because of something like that, right? What other EXJW has any evidence of these other crazy theories about what happened to Brother Morris? So this is an update on the last video that I did. So John that was on Kim and Mikey's channel, who was discussing the Menlo Park scandal, he actually contacted me. And I was hoping that he actually would see that video. So for privacy reasons, I'm not going to show you everything that was written to me, including the email name or email address that had written me. And I'm not going to discuss everything in this email that may be still confidential. So I'm only going to read to you the part that I feel is pretty public that I don't think you'd mind me reading. So he says, or I should not say he, it's his friend that actually wrote me. So it says, hello, I am an EXJW and you featured on a video my friend John Cobb. John and I were both part of the Menlo Park congregation. John and I liked your coverage of the story you did regarding XJW Elite's harass video. You and John both have similar stories. John has important information to share with you on what really happened regarding the scandal in the congregation and would be willing to have an interview, or then says the Watchtower is more than likely tapping, monitoring phones, etc. Then I blocked out some more of it, and then at the very end, it says, "Thank you for your coverage of his story, and we look forward to hearing from you." So then I wrote back, "Yes, that would be good. I was hoping that John would see that video." So let me just stop there and say that when they ended the message saying that thank you for the coverage of his story and we look forward to hearing from you, I was very happy to get this email and I look forward to hearing from him too and the person that he's working with. And when I did that video, I was hoping that he would actually see it. So the reason that I'm showing you this is because I did receive this email and as you can see, I emailed him back. In fact, the exact date that I emailed him back, well, let me just go back to the top of it. So the email was sent to me. It was delivered in my mailbox on July 15th at 8:27 p.m. So then I wrote back just a day later, right? So just remember that timeline. The very next day later, I had written back. So so I sent the message July 16 at 2:48 p.m. So technically, it was less than 24 hours that I replied back to him. And I haven't got a reply back. Now, the only reason I think it's kind of strange that I haven't got a reply back is because I would kind of think that for something important like this, and if they really wanted to get a hold of me, then I would think that they would kind of be on a lookout for a reply pretty shortly. So it's kind of odd that I wrote back in less than 24 hours and I didn't get a response back. The reason I'm putting this online is I just want to make it clear that if John does see this follow-up video, that I would very much appreciate and enjoy talking to him and his friend, and just want John to know I did write him back. So I don't know if he never got my response or if he did get my response and he sent it back to me, but I never actually received it. Right. So I'm not really sure where the blockage is at, but I just want to make it clear that he did reach out to me and I did reply back in less than 24 hours. So again, I'm not going to, reveal everything because to me, this is a personal message. Unless otherwise instructed by them, I'm not going to mention everything that was said. But the rest of what I said was I started to tell him a little bit about that Stingray device that I mentioned. So skipping to past the part that I blocked out, I said Stingray device, something that only law enforcement is supposed to have, but it is used by corrupt people. What it is it acts as a fake cell phone tower. It's something that can be parked in a car near his house or in a neighbor's house. It disrupts your cell phone to knock it offline. Then, very quickly, when your phone reconnects, it will connect to the Stingray device because your phone thinks it's the closest cell phone tower. So, your phone will be hooked up to a fake cell phone tower where they can block calls and interrupt all phone and internet traffic. They can also alter your text messages as well as alter your internet browsing. So I'm not really an expert. I might have even didn't explain that 100%. So then, as you can see, I also sent him the link uh, to Rob Braxman, who's a computer expert, to have him explain more about that Stingray device. So just want to make it clear that I'm very happy that John reached out to me, and me and him could probably create a very powerful video together. So I did, I responded in less than 24 hours, and hopefully he does eventually get my email. But if you're seeing this, John, and if you didn't get my email. This is basically what I wrote you back. And you can try to contact me through other people if possible, if you can't get a hold of me through email. Um, so just wanted to put that out there because it connects to everything that I've been speaking about.